Some of us remember it was kind of a one-room schoolhouse, and the greatest one on earth, if I might add. Jimmy Wyble was there. You were there at the beginning. 1977 is when we started, and I believe you were there in the very first, yes. It's an incredible honor and an amazing opportunity to have you back here again. Thank you. You're one of the most evolved, I've known you only a short time, but you're one of the most evolved people I've ever met. And an incredibly inspiring example as a musician, someone who's played an entire lifetime and is still not done creating and being really a role model for everybody. So I think I'll get right off stage and let you get right to it. Let's give a very warm welcome to Jimmy Wyble.
It's so incredible to be here today after all of these years of knowing Howard Roberts, a wonderful guitarist and wonderful musician, the kind of person that just has great visions. In any casual conversation with him, you always went away with something like more imagination. He always planted the little few words of what if. What if there was a place for us to get together and talk about music and guitar? Consequently, out of that grew his seminars in such places as Dante's, a little jazz nightclub on Lancashire in North Hollywood. Howard was indescribably adventurous as far as music and the guitar is concerned. Visiting with him at his little apartment where he was trying to get a publishing company going with friends such as Jack Marshall, who's the uncle of Christopher Parkening, a wonderful classical guitarist. What if became very meaningful to me about playing the guitar. In addition to what you might learn from your books and studies, it seems that the words, what if you put your fingers somewhere else on the guitar, somewhere they've never been, and that's always the challenge and the moments when you might come up with something that surprises you. And it's not hard to do, you know. So you have three distinct motions happening, all in that simple triad. And it all comes about by experimenting. And Howard was that kind of a guy that urged us to, you know, stretch out. Even if you don't hear things, take a piece of manuscript, sketch out maybe 8 bars, say a C scale, no guitar in your hand. Simply at random, put voices together with the idea of expanding and contracting whatever voices you begin with. If you begin with close intervals like a B natural, 3rd string, C natural, 2nd string, it's very close sound. And without trying to think of constructing something that is particularly or especially melodic or a particular chord, do this at random and fill up the 8 bars that you've blocked out on your manuscript paper. Then you play it, and you will be surprised. Some of it you might like, some of it you might not like. But the experience of writing and playing, and perhaps changing positions or octaves on some of the voices, is a good experience. All of this from Howard, like stretch the imagination. What if we do the same thing with an altered scale? Perhaps one from the Lydian concept. It's very adventurous. It truly is. We'll take you to places that ordinarily you might not go. The other thing that Howard really stressed was our playing chordal scales diatonically before altering them. And I know that all of you by this time have experience playing single lines, chordal scales. Now, here's what happened with me and Howard. Howard was this kind of a guy. If you could play something with a pick, why not be able to play it with fingers as well? It would certainly be to your advantage in due time, D-U-E time. Go for it. Whatever you can do with a pick, try with your fingers. Another thing that Howard taught us was, like, in situations where you might use a bar, use all four fingers. And this was because he would often say, how about lowering the sevenths? But more importantly, for each one of those scales to sit down at some point in the day, and in about 3 minutes time, no more really, Howard would probably tell us to do it in 2 minutes. But as quickly as you can, and without the guitar, combine voices from these different scales and play them. That approach is kind of strange, but you will encounter odd combinations, especially in the fingering, and all of that is good. It's all good. It is something that will lead you to unexpected places on the guitar, both physically and harmonically. I'd like for you to turn to a little piece called the Jazz Duet. Russell is going to play us the guitar part for, it doesn't matter, it's called Guitar 1. It's a very short 8-bar sequence, but the beauty of it is it gives us a chance to play through 3 key centers. Like the first 3 changes, C major 7th, D minor 7th, in the key of C, then a 2-5-1 into E flat, and then a 2-5-1 into D flat, and then back 2-5 to the beginning of the piece. And in that short sequence, there's a lot of material to deal with. Now, Howard, I can't repeat his name enough or praise him enough, because he is why we're all here. I'm the wayward child. I started with Howard in, I think, 77, 78, and was here for a number of years, went on the road. Now after, well, how many years? 40? I don't know. Here I am again, back home. And the only thing I've got in my pocket is C7th. You know, there wasn't much money out there. So But in addition to C7, there's like C flat 9, C plus 9, all sorts of things that came about by experimenting. This sequence that we just heard is all in the diatonic framework. In addition to playing it, I would like very much for you to write your own line through it. Rather than improvising with the guitar in your hand, improvise on paper. Even if you don't hear anything, write something. A string of eighth notes continuously. When you move from one change to the other, make it a small move, no more than a whole step or a half step. The writing, for me, helped my reading, for one thing. And in the initial writing, say you write this example one time, and you play it, and it sounds weird, that's okay. Because if there is a part that doesn't please you, change it. Make it work for you. Keep doing that process until you're happy with what you've written. It's only 8 bars, but it amounts to much more than 8 bars by the process of writing. Write and then play. I'd like for us to hear the second guitar part. Thank goodness, otherwise we'd just go on forever. I'd like to hear, have you hear the 2 parts together. I want us to play that as best we can. May I say, I've played so long in my life, and I'm getting back to it, living with my instrument every day. But through the years that I did play, I made a lot of mistakes. At first, I used to cringe about making mistakes, playing, say, in a quiet dinner club where everybody was listening intently, and I would blow something in one of my solos. I knew it, everybody knew it. My boss, Red Norval, said, "Hey Jim," he said, "on your second course, repeat the mistake." So I felt good about it, you know, because I could certainly do it either that way or another way. So, you know, what I'm trying to say is, you know, really enjoy every minute of your guitar playing, no matter where it is, no matter what it is, and never compare yourself to anyone else. Just don't do it, because we're all individuals. We study a lot of the same material, but down the line, we each emerge in some manner, and it's good. It's good. feel good about playing your guitar. And when you blow something, don't cringe, forget it. Just totally forget it and straight ahead. Okay? This is over. You know, I'm 85, and I'm starting over. And if I don't start over, I'll turn into dust, you know, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to stick with my guitar. And this is a beginning for me, and I hope it's a beginning for us. By that I mean, leave your name and phone number with Beth. She probably has all of that. But I'd like to get together with you. This is my wish, that we hang at some time in the future, no matter how long it takes, to sit down one-on-one and talk about music and the guitar, and just go with it, enjoy it. I must tell you, the guitar, I think at this point in your life, you're very intense about it, and you love it. But life plays tricks. It might come from any direction. And you're left with your music and your guitar. And that's going to get you through the roughest spots that you can imagine. So enjoy it now, enjoy it later. It's a gift. It's something that not many people have. I'll tell you a funny story. I moved into the neighborhood, I don't know, quite some time ago, where I live. And I don't know what possessed me, but first night I was there, I practiced my wah-wah pedal at midnight. The next morning there was a knock on the door, and the neighbor said, your baby was crying last night. Is she okay? I said, no, that was me practicing my wah-wah pedal. He said, I'm glad you told me. Next time I'll call the police. But, you know, and then, you know, as time went by, we became, you know, I'd see him maybe late in the afternoon. He'd come home from work, and he'd say to me, you still playing the guitar? I said, yeah, I play every day. And he said, same tunes? I said, yeah. He said, gee, that must be boring. And I said, what do you do for a living? He said, I climb poles for Edison. What could be more boring than that? Although, you know, that's a needed, that's something that we all need. We live by Edison. But people don't understand us. They do not understand where we're coming from. It's such a great gift. So I'd like to share that gift with you in the future by playing together, talking about music, anything, trying different things. But that one little scale that we played a moment ago, excuse me. What does it mean? For me, it was something that I had never done before, and just added to my repertoire of sound in my ear that I needed. So be adventurous. Be more adventurous than what is written on the paper. You can do silly things with it. Play it backwards. Would you play all the things you love? It's just arpeggiating the chords is all. it's pretty much standard repertoire for jazz groups or anybody that plays jazz. And as you heard, it's a very simple way of, like the melody on top, and just arpeggiating the chord. I'm playing a step higher so that I could use a low open E string, but it's and so on. Now, I want to, introduce you to Sid Jacobs, my dearest friend. Sid has developed a marvelous style of playing guitar that is just fascinating. It's so contrapuntal in nature. So Sid is going to bless us all with playing the very same song, and you're going to hear a lot more in the way of lines, L-I-N-E-S, moving throughout the chord changes. And then I'd like Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Jamie and Sid. Jamie, Sid, and yeah, you're going to...
Four down? What? Four down? Oh, yeah. So you're showing me your fingernails? I'll show you that later. Oh, man. Yeah, I got Jimmy said it was involved, but actually what I did is just a very, very simple thing. It's just you know, and most everything that I'm doing is directly from Jimmy. So, you know, Jimmy is as you noticed, if you haven't noticed it by now, he's giving everybody else the credit. You know, he never takes credit for anything. But two-line improvising is really the first person I ever heard to take it to the sophisticated level was Jimmy. And Jimmy is really responsible for so many other people and successful people. Really, really wonderful musicians out there are directly influenced by Jimmy. But all I did is I took, you know, the first thing we learn in music is it major, you know, or minor? That's the very, very first thing. So I just took the chord structure, so here's the root and the third. Then inverted third and the root. Third, third, root, third, root, third, root. And then when you have that, you just have harmony, because you have just the two melodies working at the same time. So one of the very first elements of counterpoint, even if it's like just one line, is you embellish one line, so one line is moving at a different rhythm. So I just added, instead of half notes, there's a quarter note, scale step above or half step below.
Thank you, Sid. That was beautiful. Every Sunday night for about the last 6 months, I've spent my time at a restaurant, a Thai restaurant called Suraya, I believe, Suriya. And Sid plays there from 6 to 9, and just plays the most incredible renditions of beautiful standards that are probably some of our greatest American pop songs, I guess, that have ever been written by all the great composers, Gershwin, Jerome Kern, etc. But I'd like to invite you to come sometime. Food's great, it's not too expensive, and we all get a good guitar lesson from Sid. There is a song called No One But Me. It's something that I heard Howard Alden, Larry Koontz play. It's in the book. Is there a book there? Yeah, that's a book. No One But Me. I'd like to play it in a rubato style and kind of talk about some of the things that happen in it. Oh, nobody else but me. In this song, there are some very ordinary changes, nothing too altered or outside. For instance, like in that little sequence, it's like a C chord, D minor to G7. Now, the sequence repeats in this manner. Now that's like D minor, G7, half step lower to B major. But an interesting thing happens on that D minor to G7 sequence where it's possible to play an inversion and move voices between the low voice and the top voice, much like what Sid was doing. To the B major. And you can reverse those inside voices. I was going from to descend. And Sid mixed them up like. Sorry. So you get a little bit of both, and it's really nice. This next sequence is like. I love those sounds, the organ sounds. Like a B major, 7th. Now this is really a C ninth, and you can call it F sharp plus 5 if you wish. To a B ninth without the 3rd. And then a flat 9 and a plus 5. You like that? Yeah. Why do I like those sounds? And that leads me to another thing about dissonances that I like to fool with. Like, when you're playing like a turnaround, say, an E7th, flat 9 to to A minor. B minor 7th, E 7th, flat 9. A minor 7th, D 7th, flat 9. That seems to repeat a lot in the literature, in the jazz literature. Just fooling around with it, I discovered that I like to hear instead of, excuse me. What I'm saying is now I'm using a +5 and a flat 9 on the E chord. That would be root E, C natural, F natural, the flat 9. So it goes. That's pretty outside, but I dig it. I really do. I like it. Now that happens in that tune a couple places, but another way of getting outside is to play like an E triad. I'm playing it right at the 4th position with root, 5th, 3rd. And I like to hear the flat 5 with the natural 5th. The flat 5 being on the bottom string, B flat. Moving from this E with the natural 5th and the flat 5th to an A. The A has a flat 9 and a +5, so you hear D, G. It's pretty weird, but to resolve it to C. But you know, I guess I'm trying to say be adventuresome and not afraid to try strange voicings, close voicings that at first seem, you know, hard on the ear, and the more you do it, the more you, at least the more I like it. I like to get outside.
We won't tell anyone. We won't tell anyone.
I'm telling everything.
So that one place in that tune where you play C, A minor, D minor, G7, and then the D minor, G, D flat minor, G flat, that's where that little here you've got a B natural and a C natural, A, G natural. Once again. Oh no. Here it is again. Root, flat 9, +5. Excuse me. And I'll repeat the sequence. Root, flat 9, +5. Just play around with it, see what you think. Don't have to use it. Another thing that's directly related to what I just did was like, if you apply that kind of thinking to like a dominant 7th chord, and you're playing a single line, you can play the root, the flat 5, flat 9, 3rd, +5. +9, +5, third, 7th. Resolution is always pretty close. Or I guess I like to fool around with the guitar. And sometimes it hurts, but that's okay. I'd like for my dear friends to join me on this tune, No One But Me. I'm going to try to play rubato first, and I'm going to play a lead into when you guys come in, and this is some more of my weirdness, leading into the gentleman playing with me. I'm going to play like a C major ninth with a +4 in the bottom. And actually what I'm doing is taking those voices through the scale, like and it comes out like when I play that, I'll try to play it in time and you guys come in. But here's the little tune. Same thing. I play the altered scale. It's heck to have to explain what you're doing. On this last sequence, I played an E minor 11th to like an A with a flat 5. So I'll do it. I separated the voices is all that I did. That's an A7th or 13th with a +9 and a flat 5.